Hello and welcome to Elecspo. Right, when FIFA 21 hit the shelves, I did a video on every Premier League club's best player. From Kevin De Bruyne to Martin DUBRAVKA, we looked at each team's highest rated player as well as looking at how much they've improved in the last 5 years. Well, today I'm going to do something a little bit different and look at every Premier League club's best player's worst ever FIFA rating in order from best to worst. Joint 19th, Mo Salah 70. Liverpool have got 4 different players rated at 90, but for this video I'm going to focus on the Egyptian king. Even on a list of players' worst ratings, Mo Salah is still the best. He's one of the best players on FIFA 21 with a rating of 90, which is only 20 higher than his worst ever rating. That came back on FIFA 13 when he was still a Basel player. He had the potential to reach an 82, which still would have been a decent rating, but ever since joining Liverpool it's been clear that he's been way better than that and is now recognised among the world's elite. Also joint 19th is Thomas Souček 70. Mo Salah isn't the only player in this video to have a worst rating of just 70. Thomas Souček is West Ham's joint best player with a rating of 81 on FIFA 21, but his worst ever FIFA rating wasn't actually that long ago. He first featured on the game in FIFA 18 and even then he was a 70. He's had quite the rise in recent years and is now a fantasy football favourite for his goals from midfield as he continues to be David Moyes' second coming with Marouane Fellaini, just without the bushy hair and the elbows to the back of the head. Joint 17th, Rodrigo 67. With a rating of 67, Rodrigo's always been fairly decent on FIFA, especially when you consider the fact this came back on FIFA 11 when he was only 19 years old. Interestingly enough, this was the season that he actually spent on loan at Bolton, where the Spaniard scored 1 goal in 17 appearances. Genuinely, I can't even remember that happening. Well, he's a lot better now during his second spell in England, an 82 rated player with 3 league goals at the time of recording. Joint 17th, Jamie Vardy 67. While Rodrigo's 67 came when he was just a teenager, Jamie Vardy was at the age of 25, and then a year later he was still the same rating. Vardy was just a 67 on FIFA 13 and 14, which just sums up his meteoric rise since Leicester reached the Premier League. Golden Boot winner, Premier League winner, England international, and now at the age of 34 has his best ever FIFA rating of 86, and it's richly deserved. 16th, BRANISLAV IVANOVIC 66. When I made my best players video the other month, BRANISLAV IVANOVIC hadn't even joined West Brom. But when he did, he immediately became their best player with a rating of 80, a rating which has since been decreased after some less than stellar performances. Considering how old he is, it's no surprise that Ivanovic is on the decline, although I doubt he'll ever topple his worst ever rating, a score of 66 back on FIFA 07, which is the oldest FIFA to feature in this video. 15, Bruno Fernandes 65. He's leading Manchester United's title charge, something I don't think anyone would have predicted at the start of his career. He featured on FIFA 13 later on in the game when it was updated, but I'm going to ignore that and focus on the first FIFA where he featured from the start, which was of course FIFA 14. Fernandes was only a 65 rating during his first season with Udinese, and his potential was only 76. It was only really at Sporting where he kicked on, and now at Man United he's making up for lost time and looking to bring a fallen club back to life for the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson's departure. Number 14, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang 63. It seems that most of these players have surpassed their potential from their lowest ever rating, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is no exception. The Gunner skipper is an 87 on this year's FIFA, but his worst ever rating came more than a decade ago. He was only a 63 back on FIFA 09, with the potential to reach 82, so at least I still thought he would be half decent back when he was with Dijon on loan. Joint 10th, WILFRIED ZAHA 62. It's been 10 years since WILFRIED ZAHA's FIFA debut, back when he was just a teenager breaking into the Palace team. He was only 17, but FIFA tentatively predicted he'd have a bright future in the game with a potential rating of 76. Well, he surpassed that now with Palace, but I bet FIFA thought they predicted him spot on when he was flopping at Man United. Joint 10th, Jack Grealish 62. Jack Grealish might be the only player in this video who is yet to achieve his potential from his worst ever FIFA rating. He's the Villa talisman right now, and on FIFA 14 he clearly had a big future, even if his actual rating was so somewhat appalling 62. But then again he was only 17, so I suppose I'll let him off. His potential was 84 though, and with how he's playing, it won't be long before he gets there. Joint 10th, Kevin De Bruyne 62. Back in the day he was just a Kevin McAllister lookalike who supported Liverpool. Now he's the best player in the Premier League for my money, although some Man United fans think that Bruno Fernandes is better. It's okay lads, we all make mistakes sometimes. Anyway, while De Bruyne is the best player in the Premier League on FIFA with a rating of 91, his worst ever rating is the joint 10th worst, or best, in the league, a score of 62 back on FIFA 10 when he was still at Genk. Joint 10th, Harry Kane, 62. 4 players in a row whose worst rating on FIFA is 62. Although out of the 4 of them, Harry Kane had the lowest potential. Only a 62 on FIFA 12, the guys at AA only expected him to reach a 72. Then again, 9 years ago I don't think anyone even knew who Harry Kane was. When he was on the team sheet for his Spurs debut in August 2011, people thought Spurs had signed the Big Red Machine. Well, he's the England captain now and without a doubt one of the best strikers in world football. Meanwhile, Wrestler Kane is the mayor of Knox County, which is a little bit weird, isn't it? Joint 8th, Alphonse Areola, 60. In a few years' time, I reckon Alphonse Areola could win someone a fair bit of money, as he's definitely going to be a pointless answer when the topic is French World Cup winners from 2018. Well, he's Fulham's best player currently with a rating of 82, which is 22 higher than his worst. That came on FIFA 11, which I find hard to believe. Not the fact that he was only a 60 rating, but that Alphonse Areola was on FIFA 11. Christ, he still looks about 10 now. Also joined 8th is NGOLO Kante, 60. It's no surprise that NGOLO Kante used to be crap on FIFA. When he turned up at Leicester for the first time, people thought he was one of the other players' bairns. That means child where I'm from, by the way. Anyway, Kante is an 88 now, but back on FIFA 14 he was only a 60, where there was no scent of a Leicester title charge. Joint 6th, Martin Dubravka, 58. Now we're into the 50s, and the joint 6th worst rating in this video is the 58 Martin Dubravka got on FIFA 15. Not only that, his potential was only 61. It's been quite a dramatic turnaround for the Slovakian, who was quite the unknown quantity when he arrived in the northeast. He's impressed everyone though, and is now an 83 rating, although he's got an informed Carl Darlow ahead of him in the pecking order at Newcastle. Joint 6th, Raul Jimenez, 58. To be fair, this is about how good I thought Raul Jimenez would be when he signed for Wolves. I had no hope for the Mexican. I looked at his goal scoring record and thought, there's no way he's going to keep Wolves up. But he would do just that and more in taking them all the way to Europe, and of course I continue to wish him well on his recovery from injury. Sadly though, his worst rating is just as bad as Dubravka's, getting a 58 on FIFA 12. At least his potential was better, with the possibility of reaching a somewhat more respectable but still quite poor 72. 5th, Sander Berge, 56. We're into the top 5 now as the ratings continue to tumble, and for Sheffield United we turn to Sander Berge. Sheffield United in the top 5, eh? I haven't said that since, well, last season actually. But anyway, while Berge hasn't quite lived up to the heights, he's still their best player, even if his performance has been a bit more reflective of his worst ever FIFA rating, which was a 56 back on FIFA 16. 4th, Matthew Ryan, 51. In 4th place we've got the Brighton stopper Matty Ryan, a man who seems to have been around about the same rating on FIFA for years now. But that wasn't the case back when he debuted on the game, with his first appearance on FIFA 11 resulting in a rating of just 51. He did have potential to reach 65 though, which I suppose is okay for an Aussie not called Tim Cahill or Mark Viduka. The more famous for the cricket players, even if Tim Payne is a bit of a dick. 3rd, Nick Pope, 48. We're into the top 3 now, and our first player with a rating of less than 50. That came for Nick Pope on FIFA 14, which makes it all the more shocking that 4 years later he was at the World Cup with England. Sure he didn't play, but who cares? As I say, back on FIFA 14 he was only a 48 and his potential was only 58, which is less than most people's worst rating in this video. But he took his chance at Burnley with both hands, literally, and is now their undisputed best player with a rating of 82. 2nd, Luca Dean, 44. Despite being one of the best left backs in the country, Luca Dean's FIFA debut was an absolute shambles. The Frenchman was only a 44 rating, which wouldn't even get him in most League 2 sides. I imagine. I don't often dabble with the likes of Salford, to be honest with you. FIFA 11 was a tough game for Luca Dean, who probably throws darts at the cover every night, such as his anger at how bad he was. He probably doesn't get as angry as Gerwin Price. Christ, that bloke roars whenever he hits a treble. And number 1, Danny Ings, 40. Christ, FIFA 11 did Danny Ings dirty. While he's the star at Southampton right now, he's got the worst rating ever out of all the 20 players in this video. I mean, he was underrated when FIFA 21 came out and he got an 80, but that's double what he got on FIFA 11. Clearly FIFA 11 wasn't a great game to be a kid on, as 6 of the ratings in this video are from that game. Ah well, at least the soundtrack was banging. Who cares how bad the ratings are when you listen to Gorillaz, Two Door Cinema Club, The Black Keys, Mark Ronson and the Bloody Scissor Sisters. So there we have it, that is every Premier League club's best player's worst ever rating on FIFA, ranked from best to worst. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Elecspo, and until next time we will see you around.